Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about salt, and it's something that is really simple but can really affect your diet. So I thought it'd be something really nice to talk about early on in this year as we are all heading towards those resolutions we might want to keep. So today we're going to be talking about salt, or more importantly, the amount of sodium in just classic iodized salt. Here's the thing. Salt as a serving size is 1/4 of a teaspoon as a serving. And in that, it's already got 590 milligrams of sodium. I went and converted everything else down to 1 teaspoon. And this already has more sodium than any one of these others, though one of them is actually fairly close. The most common replacement for salt is actually soy sauce, and it is incredibly versatile while still giving you a salty flavor. Now here's the thing. A serving size of soy sauce is a tablespoon, okay? And it's got 900 milligrams in one serving. I went and converted it down to teaspoons, and a teaspoon is roughly 1/3 of a tablespoon. So already you're looking at soy sauce only being about 300 milligrams per teaspoon. And that is pretty good compared to, 1/4 teaspoon of salt being almost double that. The next one, and it's going to be really common, you see it in a lot of kitchens, is actually Worcestershire sauce. It was weird that I messed up actually and not Worcestershire. Okay, Worcestershire is pretty cool. It actually only has 65 milligrams per sodium in a teaspoon of this, which is awesome. Now, one of the cool things about Worcestershire sauce is it adds a whole lot of flavor and is actually also an umami booster in foods. And that is just a protein compound that's going to make your food taste more yummy. Let's just put it that way. It's kind of a yum factor to food. The other one I want to talk about is fish sauce. And it's really common in Asian households. Yes, I have the actual brand of the fish sauce covered up because that's what I was told I had to do. Now, in this as a tablespoon has almost 1,500 milligrams of sodium. It breaks down to just under 500 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon. But think about that. A teaspoon is just short of what salt has in 1/4 of a teaspoon. That is actually the closest in terms of just straight salt content of all of these to regular salt. Now here's the benefit here. If you are using something like fish sauce and you just need a salty flavor, a little bit of this will give a good saltiness to whatever you need, and you won't have nearly as much sodium. So say you're diabetic, that's something you can look into. I do also recommend Worcestershire sauce. I use it in a lot of my non-Asian cooking as a replacement for salt, especially if I'm cooking for, say, my father-in-law or something like that. There are other replacements for salt, things like bacon or anchovies. Things like that have a salty nature about them already, but they also come with other downsides, like fat content or things like that, or even flavor that may not necessarily mesh with what you're doing. But if you're doing something just basic in your kitchen, any one of these can be a straight replacement for salt on that level. Now, something like Worcestershire does have its own flavor components, but in terms of replacing salt, it is by far the best in terms of getting that saltiness with the least amount of sodium into the food that you're trying to cook. If you're doing something like scrambled eggs, actually use soy sauce instead of salt. It will blend better with your eggs if you do it while you're whisking, And you really shouldn't use milk with scrambled eggs anyways. That's a whole nother can of worms. Other than that, fish sauce is pretty much just a straight replacement for that salty flavor that you need. A lot of times in Asian cultures, you'll see that they actually use both salt and soy sauce. You can just use fish sauce or soy sauce instead of salt. And that's something really cool about that. So here's the thing. We're not doing a lot of cooking today. We're just really talking about salt as a whole. And it's something that I really think everybody needs to learn a little bit more about. There are health concerns with how much salt people consume. I like to actually not do salt on my french fries, but instead do just a little bit of fish sauce. It's really good, and it acts as kind of its own dipping sauce of sorts for your french fries. There are things you can do to be healthier that are simple. And one of those things is replacing salt with something that will still provide saltiness without having to consume nearly as much sodium within your diet. Anyways, thanks you guys for listening to what I have to say today. I hope that everyone is having a great new year. Let's kick this off right.